Well, my friends, here we are again, here and ready to go for another Drak and Shadow vlogs. One that is kind of unexpected. People might remember earlier on this year, we actually said we weren't going to go see it. Well,
it grew on us.
It grew on us. Yeah, that's the best way that I know to look at it, because we went to go see Rampage, which is based off a video game and has nothing to do with it aside from occasional arcade machines showing up.
And a monster named George, Ralph, and Lizzie.
Pretty much, yeah. So, oh yeah, that's right. The lizard is named Lizzie. Okay, so yeah, we weren't really planning on doing Rampage. And then the more the trailers came out, I think the more it endeared to us, the more it grew.
Yeah, it looked fun.
And eventually you and I just kind of looked at each other. I can't remember which movie we actually agreed on this too, but
I think it was the one we did before this.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ready Player One.
Yeah, Ready Player One.
So at that point we just kind of looked at each other and went, yeah, let's go see this. Let's for the heck of it, we know what we're walking into. Actually, you know what? I think it might have been Pacific Rim. I think it might have been Pacific Rim when we said it. So at that point, we knew what we were walking into. We decided to do a quick review of it. So we're not necessarily going to do the portion of, what were we expecting walking in, but let's just go ahead and give a quick verdict where we stood with Rampage.
Before or after?
After we've seen the movie.
After. I liked it after I saw it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at too. I actually thought it was pretty good, despite the fact that this is kind of like Pacific Rim. If you're walking into Rampage expecting an art house film, then and here's the thing, there are actually some reviews out there that make me wonder. Then I'm gonna say the exact same thing I did with Pacific Rim. You're doing it wrong, because you're walking into giant ape, giant lizard, giant wolf destroying the city. That's what you're walking into. This isn't rocket science.
It's based on an arcade beat 'em up. Not really beat 'em up, but just it was an arcade game. You destroyed buildings, you ate people, and that's about it.
It's an old school quarter sucker is what it is, and while it is satisfying and while it is fun, that's what this movie was. It was just trying to be something schlocky, hammy, and that's what it is. So let's just go ahead and get into it. What were things that you liked about Rampage?
The Rock really sells this movie. He's really good at it.
I'm actually surprised at the performance. I've gotten a little bit of flack on the Run on the Ropes podcast now that I haven't seen the entire repertoire of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
It's not worth it, because there's like this period of time where he was doing a ton of family films, which is weird.
See that. Okay, the problem is that I love you, Dwayne, but you've had a very hit or miss record, and I would actually say that some of the family stuff that he's done, like the Tooth Fairy, is kind of endearing because it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that's doing it, because he kind of can do that endearing personality.
Really, because
the ones that actually bother me are the ones where he's supposed to be big muscly dude, and they don't really write much personality aside from that for him. And then they put him with a weird co-star, like, say, Sean William Scott, I think is his name, because they did a movie together. And another one that comes to mind is where he was supposed to be like gay hairdresser. And that's weird, just seeing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing that. So, I mean, it's fine, but then you also have things like Doom that I would actually dare say, like, if given the choice between the Tooth Fairy and Doom, I'll watch the Tooth Fairy. I know what I'm walking into there. But yeah, I'll agree with you on this. Dwayne Johnson's performance sells this. Above all else, he is like the most entertaining thing here, aside from George.
Yeah.
Aside from George. So other things that you like.
Good CGI on the gorilla.
Yeah.
Really good.
Are you saying you didn't like the CG on the croc or the?
No, they were fine, but just considering how much we see George from start to finish.
We see George. Yeah.
How much we see of the gorilla, especially, I think his CGI animation in particular just stood out the most.
Also, I know we complimented Dwayne, but the other thing I want to compliment it on is the timing of the signing. That was actually really well done.
Yeah.
I don't know how they made that possible. Maybe the director was just like, now you do it kind of thing. But the timing looked really, really, really good, considering that George isn't on screen. And I don't know if they put a guy there so that Dwayne could interact with him, but
yeah, probably had a stand-in or something
to that effect. Yeah. So okay, so we've got Dwayne the Rock Johnson and we've got CG.
Yeah. Let me think what else. Yeah, and the whole Black Ops government guy was like, I come change the sheets.
So we're talking about FBI dude, or what did he call himself? OGA, off government agency.
Yeah. It's like, I change the sheets when the government shits the bed.
Oh my gosh. Was I the only one that just kind of looked at that and went, wow, you could sub in Clint Eastwood and that would work too? Or I can't ever remember this guy's name, but he's like in every stinking Western. And in fact, you've got the iPad right there. Look up Ghost Rider. He's in that too. But he's got like that stereotypical, very deep voice. And he could have played this role too. And that's the character is what it is. Like he's supposed to be a cowboy.
Yeah.
A cowboy government agent. In fact, I think they even like went the extra mile. He had the white cowboy boots as shoes, and he had
the gun on his holster.
Yeah, the I can't ever remember what it is, like the white handle on the gun.
Oh yeah, the pearl or ivory handle.
Pearl ivory handle, and yeah. So I mean, he was like cowboy head to toe.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that one too. He was actually damn entertaining when he was there. Okay, others that you want to give?
Yeah, good action sequences. Just all the monsters tearing apart Chicago. That was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I would actually really be interested in like behind the scenes, like how they made a lot of those scenes work. In particular, like there are a few where I can kind of figure it out, where like George smashes the car outside the zoo. I can figure that out, but then there were a few in the city where I'm like, okay, how do you make like this giant croc look like he's trouncing Humvees and everything like that? So okay, yeah. Fight choreography was pretty damn good.
Yeah, this movie really just doesn't hold back. I mean, this is pretty pushing it as PG-13 goes. Compared to, say, a Marvel movie where everything's either kind of, I don't know, just away from populations, or there's no one really around to. The collateral damage is real here, and it feels real. I mean, you watch one of the villains get crushed by debris. The other one gets eaten.
I think the only thing that could have pushed it to R is like actually having like the pools of blood or whatever.
Yeah.
It actually would have been interesting, like if they decided, like in a special edition, every time the croc runs over a boat, you see like puddle of blood or little red pool. Or the wolf. That was another one where he could have had just like a lot more gory scenes to him. Especially when they were hunting him in the Wyoming wilderness. Like we could have seen like how every single merc died.
Yeah.
And that could have been pretty vicious. Okay.
I think that does it for my positives.
Yeah, there's I have a feeling this is actually going to be one of our shortest vlogs because there's not a whole lot to add to it.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you expect out of a summer action movie.
So, my bests would include Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I think he's probably the best. That's actually kind of a hard thing to say, like, because I like a lot of the performances in this, but since a lot of time is spent with him, I think he sells the movie, like you said. I would actually say that the CG for all three creatures was amazing.
Oh yeah,
especially considering the fact that you had to kind of. George was kind of easy, he just gets bigger. So at that point, you had to show like how, these other monsters are going to continue to evolve. And for George, that's easy. But for Ralph, I think Ralph was the wolf.
Yeah, Ralph's the wolf.
They added in like those spines. Those could be legitimate weapons. They added the fact that he could fly or glide, rather. I actually think one of the most disgusting things in the whole movie is whenever Lizzie opens her mouth.
Yeah.
And you just see all the ways that teeth are growing in there. It's just like I know turtles do that. Like turtle mouths are really effed up in that way, but I don't think croc mouths are that way. So that's kind of really warped to look at when it roars at you and you just see just random teeth growing everywhere.
Of course, the wolf flies.
Of course, the wolf. Like all the lines are pretty damn good from Dwayne.
All the dialogue is so funny.
Even the CG rat at the very beginning was actually pretty intimidating, considering it's it's a freaking rat, but it had the same spines as Ralph did, so that was actually pretty cool. Another compliment I'm going to give here, because you already gave the government agent some due props, and I'll back you up there.
Yeah.
The sheer schlock of the villains was actually pretty entertaining at times. I mean, for crying out loud, like this, I'm not gonna lie to people, this plot is so predictable.
Yeah, it really is.
Like even a novice is gonna see how things go. Like you've seen Jurassic Park, you've seen how this goes.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I actually did appreciate the what were they, brother and sister?
Yeah, they were brother sister.
The CEOs of Energy and their interactions together. It was actually pretty cool.
And you mentioned the arcade cabinet with the little shout out there.
Yeah, they had that little shout out, and then there was actually another arcade cabinet somewhere. I can't remember where. I want to say it was in like the zoo or in like a random building, but
I wanted to see a Sega Master System version because that's the one I grew up with.
NES for me, but no, I think they just stuck to the arcade version and said, yeah, cabinet's probably all we need. So yeah, I'm gonna give some props over to them, and in fact, one of the other reasons that I want to give them props is I want to ask this honest question of you, my friend.
Okay.
Which is actually like, occasionally in these movies we get what I like to call comeuppance deaths. Okay, like they had it coming, even though we don't want to admit it. And the most prime example that I can give to guys is Jurassic Park and the lawyer. Like seeing the T-Rex just plop on over and grab him.
Yeah.
So which in my opinion is more, or in your opinion is more satisfying, the T-Rex eating the lawyer, or the other CEO just so happening to walk out of the building and then get splatted by falling debris?
So I'm comparing Guerrero from Jurassic Park to the CEO getting
or
crushed.
just like, if you have another comparison, that's awesome.
Well,
because
there was the sister who got eaten by George.
Oh, that's right. And while she's getting eaten, is like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty damn good too. Now that I think about it.
And the other gal who's with Dwayne Johnson, she's like feeding the monster to the monster.
Yeah, okay, you could add that in there too.
Yeah.
I like the guy's death just because it's so freaking out of nowhere. Like you actually think he's gonna get away and it's okay, but then and wow.
And you see a blood splatter too.
Yeah, you did. And the agent actually kind of sells it. He's like, ooh, didn't expect that coming.
Yeah. I liked the moment of her getting eaten, but I also kind of dislike it. I like it because it's a definite callback to the game, because you would eat people in the game. But I'm a little disappointed because it's George who eats her, and we're supposed to like George, and I think it should have been like Ralph or Lizzie who eats her.
But I get your point, but we're not supposed to like him at that moment. He's evil.
Well, no, he's not. Like, it's not like he's totally evil. It's just more like,
ultimately, like, it's for the greater good because it cures him so that he can help them out.
I guess that's true, but still, considering George is sort of one of our main characters, so to speak here.
Yeah, but as we're probably going to get into later, I mean, he has a twisted sense of humor. So.
That's true. Yeah.
So it kind of works. Like even if he was aware of it, it kind of works too.
You mentioned the little dick joke he makes at the end with the sign language.
Oh, we'll get to that, my friend. We'll get to it because. But yeah, the thing to me, the guy is a lot better just because it's lol random. But I'll admit, like the sister dying, and just the best part about that for me wasn't even the fact that she got swallowed. It was shit. It's like, wow, like I was actually walking out of the theater going, have I ever seen that happen before in a theater where like all of a sudden somebody does do that when in real life that's what somebody would do. Like all of a sudden that's what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna be like, oh fuck, so yeah, I'll give props to that one too. And then another thing that I have to say really sold this movie was the interactions between what was his actual name in the movie? Okoye and George. Because the sign language was great, and we got to see a little bit of a sample of it in the trailer. And by the way, that full scene was awesome. Just because you knew that there was going to be some quirk to that guy that is going to make that joke all the more pay off. And the fact that he was like fresh out of college and trying to hit on the girl. Yeah, that was great. But George's twisted sense of humor just kind of sold those interactions. Because like you have those funny moments, but most of the time when Dwayne and him have interactions, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because like they're trying to figure out how to cure George. They don't know what's going on with him. And then he goes all berserk. And when he's not even able to sell things, like he's tranquilized, Dwayne can sell it because he looks like he's genuinely concerned over his friend. And then we had the backstory of how they knew each other. That helped out a lot more too. And yes, that last scene where he played dead. Oh, I actually thought they were going to pull the King Kong bullet and was like, who are the real monsters here? And all of a sudden, did you just open your eye? I just saw you close your eye. And all of a sudden he just raises it up. Like, you like the whole dick reference kind of thing. To me, it was the fact that apparently it was a joke to George to flip people off.
Yeah, that was funny too.
And the way that he kind of shows that he's alive is he takes this ginormous hand and forms a middle finger. It's like, oh, George, you, because that was the thing I was really hoping for, was we were gonna get a ginormous middle finger, because he's I don't know how many feet he was, but we're talking pretty big, so it would have been awesome. Like eating the girl would have been great, but also if he like would have flipped her off, that would have been great too. So I love that end scene. I love what you're saying out of it. I also love the whole scene where we find out he's cured, and they're both having the interaction of, you look like shit. No, you look like shit.
Yeah.
And so you have to see the sign of like poop over and over. So that was actually really funny and really satisfying to me in a weird way, but I liked it.
Yeah.
So we've shouted this thing's praises. What could it have done better?
What do you go first?
For me, it's kind of hard. I mean, you know what you're walking into with this kind of a film.
Everything really
is amazingly predictable.
I guess if anything, I am a little disappointed it didn't play a little closer to the game. Just in the game, they would like
you wanted them to legit trounce the city, or
not totally. I mean, they do that obviously. Just that they didn't like say de-transform back into like little people, and
if they'd actually been people, that would have been good. I actually would have liked that. They just said legit animals. It would have been funny to go into the arcade plot and say, this is either, because I think there are two different versions. Like there's science experimentation and then there's alien experimentation in a later version. So like having UFOs come out of nowhere and or like zoom out of nowhere, that would have been funny. Okay, so I can get that one.
Yeah.
That's it? That's all you got?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, or maybe just also in terms of kind of close to the game. In the game, you go through multiple cities. Mm-hmm. Here, they just focus on Chicago. I guess that's both a good and bad thing because it keeps the movie kind of light. But, oh well.
I would just like to point out that poor Chicago, it's been leveled twice cinematically as far as I'm...
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly New York in the Avengers films, but Transformers 3 was Chicago.
Yeah.
That whole last scene, or that last bit of the movie, is in Chicago. So, poor Chicago, man. You guys just can't catch a break.
Chicago's now on the destruction list.
Well, apparently so.
Cities to be destroyed every 5 minutes.
I will admit, and this is kind of nitpicky, but the movie got so predictable that it actually got frustrating in a few places. Like, I reached over to you one time, and usually in these kinds of movies, it's either an evil corporation that's evil, or is the villain, or it's the government that's the villain. And in this case, it was both. And I was just like, really? The corporation and the government are the villain? Okay. Yeah, totally saw this. Even I looked at the whole Merc team going after the wolf and going, well, you all dead. Just because it's a wolf. Like, there's no way that you're surviving that.
Oh, see, I thought that mercenary guy. Well, not when I saw him, but when they were talking about him, I figured it was going to be the government guy that we've been seeing in the trailers until they showed him. That is, but when they were just talking about him, I figured
they kind of got a similar look.
Yeah.
No, I looked at all the mercs and I'm just like, you did, because like it's a giant monster and you're bringing in heavy artillery. You're gonna piss it off, but you ain't surviving. A lot of the predictable notions of character stereotypes, I could have told you that. Oh crap! What was it? Campbell, is that her name? The other scientist lady. Her backstory was kind of predictable. That she either, like, I was sitting there going, okay, I can't tell what that's supposed to be. That's either a father or a brother that is probably dead at this point.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, died of cancer. So she's struggling because she's drinking endlessly, and even though she knows exactly what's going on, the pseudoscience was heavily predictable that they would come up with weird tools or weird names like genetic editing. So that's overall my complaint, is like there are points where this was so painfully predictable that it actually got a little frustrating. Just like, oh, come on, throw me a left curve. And then later on I got, oh shit. Okay, so I'll give you that.
Yeah, I get the predictability even at the end when I'm like, George is going to be alive. He's faking it.
See, I actually, like I said, I thought they were going to pull the King Kong bullet.
It's like, who? Beauty killed this time. Beauty truly killed the beast. Or
exactly.
Like
I thought they were actually going to end on a somber tone, and we were all going to feel bad for George. And then big middle finger, and I'm like, oh, George, I'm okay with this. I'm trying to think of other stuff. The other thing too, I did also like is that when they said, "Oh, well, we've got to rescue all these people," the first thing that you see is George walking off, and like, "Oh, there's people in this building. Why don't I go ahead and put you down?"
Yeah, that was fun.
The military was overwhelmingly evil as far as I'm concerned, but it was kind of worth it just to see Dwayne pull out some lines like, "It's okay, it's okay, it's a big arm, it's a big arm." And, oh crap, you're peeing, you know. But yeah, that's really all the complaints that I have for it. So, final verdict on it. Where does Rampage stand?
I'll give it an 8.
It's just, yeah, I'm there too.
Yeah.
If anything, I'd bump it up to an 8.5, just because if you don't walk in thinking that this is going to be something else, you're fine. You're gonna have a nice popcorn flick that you can talk about for years to come, kind of thing. It was like, oh, you remember Alien versus Predator, how awesome that was? Oh yeah, do you remember Rampage? Yeah, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna also add on to this, compared to other video game movies, where does this stand as a video game adaptation?
Well, I mean, this one's easy because it's just a smash 'em up arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's not like it's that inherently important to
Ready Player One had more expectations than this.
Yeah, but Ready Player One's a book, and I wouldn't call that a video game movie. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's a better
Tomb Raider
example.
had higher expectations than this, and it kind of flopped.
Yeah, where there's so much like story and depth between the two Tomb Raider games that we have.
Yeah.
You know, that's so hard to manage. This was pretty easy considering it's just a smash 'em up, and you can kind of go any way with it. You can make them little people, you can make them animals. It doesn't really make a big difference.
I mean, the only how are you going to adapt the fact that you are playing as the giant lizard, you are playing as the giant ape? No, you had to take it from a human perspective. And see the chaos that you have wrought, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm kind of there. I think a solid B is where Rampage is sitting. So, how much would we actually recommend that people spend on Rampage?
I think this would be a fun movie to see with friends. So just any way you can see it with friends.
If you're BSing, then yeah, I think this is perfect for Matt or anything past matinee. I'm not gonna say spend 3D on it or go Atmos, but like if you wanted to go full price, I think if you had friends, it'd be fun. It'd be a fun experience that people could talk about. Most of the time, I'd say stick matinee on this one.
Yeah.
Stick matinee. Take your kids. I think they'll have fun. They won't be too scared or anything like that. And yeah, I really don't recommend doing 3D or Atmos or anything like that for this movie.
Nah.
But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it here. I know that this is a little bit shorter than usual, but the bottom line is that there really isn't a whole lot to talk about with Rampage.
Not really. Dumb action movie.
Dumb action movie, but dumb in a good way.
Yeah.
Dumb in a good way. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this vlog. So thank you guys so much for watching. And you guys can also tune in next week as the Geek News Reviews and Opinions podcast does a group review of Avengers Infinity War. But the next time that you guys will probably be seeing us will be later on in May as we take on Solo.
Solo.
We'll see you guys then.